Again, I hope you all can figure out the IP addresses now. All good. And I hope you all can derive which one is using Windows and which one is using Linux. All good. After that part, let's figure out the active services for the machine. And for that, I'm going to use a new tab here. So let's go with new tab and let's go with some common command. I'm going to use a specific tool with the name Nmap. That again stands for your network mapper. Right? You can use the Nmap to figure out active services on your machine. Right? For that part, what you have to do is just go with the Nmap and go with the IP address. The IP address you can figure out from the ARP scan. Just copy that IP address and place it with your Nmap and hit enter. Right? This will help you in deriving, in identifying all the active machines and all the active services as well. Right? Now, I am targeting this particular machine 192.168.71.131. Right? And all these services are running on your machine. Now, most of the services, you can access most of these services with help of your authentication. You have to verify your ID and only then you can access your services. For example, let's say if I want to try FTP, right? Let's go with FTP and go with IP address as this one and hit enter. This will ask you for your username and your password, right? Now, once in, if you don't know username and password, what you can do? If you guys don't know what is the username, what is the password, what you gonna do? The only thing is you can try for brute force. Right? You can try different usernames and different passwords. But again, for that all you need is a word list. All those word lists are available here. Just go with cd user share word list directory. Here you will get a complete list of dictionaries that you can use to figure out username and password or to brute force username and password. Let's give it a check. So let's go with FTP. Or there are two commonly used tools. First one is Hydra and second one is Medusa that you can use to brute force usernames and password for common services. Let's go with one of them, and the one I'm going to use is Medusa because Medusa is faster. Medusa is better than Hydra. If you want, you can use Hydra, Medusa, both of them. Otherwise, if you want, you can go with MSF. Again, in MSF you have different auxiliaries that you can use to brute force your different services, right? For example, let's say just search here for FTP, right? This will give you a complete list of different modules, right? And some of them here are your auxiliaries. Auxiliary are mainly used to collect information about the target, to figure out weakness in your target, right? And for that part, you can use your different auxiliaries, right? One of them you're gonna find out here is FTP_login. Just directly search here for FTP_login. This is the auxiliary that you can use, right? And to execute this one, go with use 0, then go with options, go with the variable list that you can add here, right? One thing that you have to add is your target, which machine you are targeting right now. For that part, go with set rhost and enter your IP address here, that I will target this specific machine, right? If you want, you can add your dictionaries, otherwise it will take dictionaries automatically, right? All you have to do is just go with the run command. If it gives you a sort of errors, the credentials are missing, then you can go with dictionaries. Like let's say, if you want to add a username file, a complete txt file which contains a complete list of usernames. For example, if I go with, okay, checklists are not available. Let's install this one first. Just few more seconds. You can also go with word list for Metasploit as well. Again, let's go with Metasploit. If I simply go with Metasploit, here you got different txt files, right? If you simply print the content for, let's say, a file with the name something like Adobe DB, and let's go with this password.lst, right? In this text file we have different possible passwords that you can try, but again there are tons of passwords that you have to try, right? You have two options. First one, you can try them yourself. Second one, you can use some sort of tools, right? And MSF is one of the tools that you can use. So let's update the variable set pass file as your user share word list metasploit and password.lst. In the same manner, if you want, you can set your username as well, or you can set your username files as well, right? It's completely your call. Otherwise, just go with run and it will start executing all the usernames and passwords. What's wrong? Let's go with username, set user underscore file, go with user share word list metasploit, and let's go with passwd again, same, done, and let's execute it. Now what it's gonna do, it will try different usernames and different passwords on your machine, right? You can do it yourself if you want, otherwise you can use this sort of tools. Now one more thing, brute forcing is very time consuming, one thing. Second thing is, it completely depends on your number of threads you are using. Here I am using a single thread, but again if I set it to something like set threads as 20 and then execute this may update the speed, but again it's still very slow. For that part, let's gonna use different tool. So going with Medusa. Let's go with Hydra first. Hydra, and let's go with common option. With Hydra you have to use this one of the options. -L you can use for username, -P you can use for password, and -M you can use for different targets if you have, right? Otherwise just go with simple option. Hydra -L, short L if you are using a common username as let's say admin. Short password के लिए you can go with short P. Let's say the password is something like root. If you know the password, you can go with short P. Otherwise, go with capital P and go with your password file like user share word list metasploit and pass list here. Then go with service as ftp:// and your target IP. By default, it will use 16 different attempts at a time, right? They are not visible here. Let's just make them visible. Go with -V. Or let's do one more thing. I'm going with -T as 20 and -- verbose. This is going to take some time. In the meantime, let's go here with Medusa. You have to use these options with Medusa here, right? Let's use them. Medusa -H is used for target. I'm targeting this specific machine. Capital U is used for username. I'll use small u as username is admin. I'll go with capital P for the password. The password is something like, let's say, I'll go with word list again. Word list, Metasploit, and go with password list. Then go with capital M to specify your service. I'm targeting FTP service. Go with -T for your threads. I'll go with 20 threads and hit enter. This will test all of your usernames and password and show you on your screen as well that we are targeting our victim and these are your number of attempts, right? Each and every second it will send 20 requests to your victim machine. But again, in some cases you will get errors here, right? Whenever you configure a server, you always configure the simultaneous connections, like how many users can access the server at the same time. Let's say you have configured your server like only 10 users can access at the same time, right? In that case, if you go with 20 threads, you will get errors, right? So all that what you have to do is just lower down your number of threads here, like this one. If you go, we are trying with 20 threads here. I executed the command with 20 threads and only 10 of the passwords are checked. 10 for them we got the errors because on server only 10 simultaneous connections are allowed. So in these case of scenarios, you cannot jump directly towards your 20 threads. You can only go with 10 of them at the time to avoid any sort of errors, right? So to brute force, you can go with these options. First thing. Second thing, all of your services runs on a specific version, like which version you are using for your service. For example, I'm using the same nmap command, using the same target. I'll go with versions with -s and capital V to figure out the versions for all these services. Like you are using FTP. So what is the version of FTP? You are using Windows. Which version of Windows you are using, right? So to figure out the version, you can go with the option like -s and capital V. All these options you can figure out with normal nmap and hit enter. All these options are available here. Now, if you are not familiar with the tool, just do one thing. Go with the man command for your manual and go with the tool name. Right? This will give you the complete documentation for your tool. Which is the command, what is the option, why we use that option, and all other different things. Right? Nmap is widely used tool for your network scanning and network testing. Right? So, something like, let's say, for FTP service, the service version is VSFTPD 2.3.4. What you can do is just copy this service version. Let's say, copy these values, go on the Google and figure out the exploit for your service. If there is any exploit available on the market for that specific service version, you will get it here. Now here you can see for this specific version VSFTPD 2.3.4, a backdooring command execution is available. A specific weakness is available. Right? If you want, you can search on Google. If you want, you can directly search on your terminal as well. Just go with search exploit and enter the service name. If any of the exploit is available in the market, you will get the exploit here. Right? Other than that part, you can do one more thing. Just go back to your MSF and search here for your service version. Again, if there is any exploit available, you will get it here. right? To execute it, to use it, go with the command use 0 and go with the run. Before that part, just update your target. So go with set rhost and your target IP address. The target is this one. This is my target. So just copy the target IP address and update it here. Right? Now, this particular exploit is used to get access of that machine without even touching it. Right? So here you can see we got a reverse connection from the machine. Right? And the machine is completely independent, running on a different device. Right? Now, if you want, you can execute any of these commands, ls-al you can go with, and these are the files available on your victim's device, right? So what you can do, you can figure out active machines, you can figure out active services, and then try to figure out the exploits available for those services, right? Yes or no? Everyone is sleeping. I know it's a bit boring, but again, this is what pen testing is, right? Now, okay, let's do one thing. Let's go with some attacks. Which one? We'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. Today, let's say we have virtual machine because we have virtual machine. So let's go with the DOS and let's go with DDoS, right? Let's go with some common tools. And for that part, all I need is Windows machine and a Linux machine. So again, I'm closing everything. Just close window, close this one, close this one, and let's go with terminal again. Now, how many of you know about the ping command? How many of you know about the ping command? Alright, ping is mainly used to check that the destination is reachable or not. You can reach the destination or not. For that part, we generally use the ping command. Right? Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to send some packets on this Windows machine. So this is my Windows machine, no task is running. The CPU consumption is something around like 8%, 7%. No more CPU consumption is there. Right? And let's figure out the IP address. Guys, CPU consumption is 3%. Memory consumption is 35-40% because only 2 GB RAM is allowed. And network consumption is 0. Right? Now let's start the attack. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to figure out the IP address first. So for that part, if you want, you can go with the rscan. It's again your call. Otherwise, let's go with this simple command. ipconfig, and the IP address is 192.168.71.129. And now let's start the attack. How many of you know what is DOS? Okay. First of all, let's go with the DOS, then we're gonna do other things. Alright, what does DOS stands for? DOS is known as your denial of service attack, right? Which is generally used to take down a particular resource. It can be a network, it can be a server, it can be a website, it can be a normal router or access point as well, right? all you have to do is just consume the resources, consume the network bandwidth, consume the memory, or make that CPU busy. That's all what you have to do. So that the actual users will not be able to use that specific resource. That's all what you have to do in your denial of service. Right? Make that service unavailable to the actual users. This is what your actual DOS is, right? So, for that part, what I'm going to do, I will simply use a ping command, or you can say I will simply check that this IP address is active or not. That's what I'm going to do. I will hit enter. We are sending packets and we are receiving response, right? Still, CPU consumption is 2%, Ethernet is nothing, right? Now, whenever you simply send a ping packet, right, you only use 64 KB bytes, sorry, 64 bytes of data is transferred to the receiver. But what I'm going to do is, I will update the data with -D, or you can use -S here, and I'm going to use 50,000 bytes, or you can say 50 KB data in my packet, and then I'm going to send it to my victim, right? But before that, I'm going to send it with multiple threads. I'm going to increase the speed of data transmission or packet transmission. For that, I'm using -F for your ping flood. This is generally known as ping of death or ping flood. Whatever you call it, it's completely your call. If you hit enter, you will see we are not getting responses this time. But if you will check here, how much data is receiving. Something around 500, let's say 500 MB data is receiving per second. Now, whenever you design a server or system any resource, you always specify a fixed bandwidth. How many of you have Wi-Fi at their home? Okay. How many of you know about network speed? Like 100 MB per second, 200 MB per second, 300 MB per second. If you are talking about 100 MB per second, this is the maximum number of binary bits that you can transfer in a second, right? Either you can download or you can upload. Simple case. Let's say server has a bandwidth of 1 TB per second, 1 terabytes per second. You can transfer data and server can handle it, no issue, right? If I go with the history and if I show you the attack here, so just go with GitHub DOS attack. Back in 2017, GitHub servers receive packets with a speed of 1.3 terabits per second. Now, the maximum data that you can transfer. No. Anyone need coffee? Thank you. Now, guys, listen again. Where we were? All good. Maximum number of bits that you can transfer is 1 TB, right? But how many of you have encountered this? I am not sure, but let's say you all are using a Wi-Fi, right? The maximum speed is let's say 100 MB per second, and one of you is downloading the file, downloading any game, any movie, right? All other users will feel that network is very slow. How many of you have feel this? This is because of bandwidth. This is because of bandwidth part. Let's say the person who is downloading consumes 70 MB or 80 MB bandwidth, right? There are 10 users, one of them is consuming 70 MB bandwidth, right? 9 users are still there, and 30 MB bandwidth will be shared among all those 9 users. That's why you guys feel slow network. In the same case, we got our server, right? But attacker do here, attacker will consume the bandwidth, right? In that case, all other users will feel that server is not sending the response because their request is never transferred to the server. You will get errors of timeout. How many of you have faced a timeout error? This is generally because your request is not transferred to the server. Maybe because of network latency, maybe because of some other issues. But again, this is the common error a user feels in case of a DOS attack. Your server is unreachable or your server is unable to process your request. Right? Now, here we are receiving 500 MB per second data. Right? I am targeting from a single machine. I am attacking from a single machine. Right? If you have single target, if you are targeting from a single machine, this is known as DOS attack. Right? But if you start targeting from multiple machines, right, it will be considered as DDoS. If we have single attacker, it is DOS. If we have multiple attackers but single victim, it is DDoS. The complete name of, what is the complete name of DDoS? Distributed Denial of Service Attack. Now, I am targeting from Kali. Now let's start targeting from Windows. Right? And for that part, let's do one more thing. One of the most severe attack, because one of the most severe DOS attack is service request flood. Right? For that part, just to explain that one, what I'm going to do is I'll simply start a Python server. I hope you all are comfortable with Python server now. All good. Let's go with store and let's download Python. Guys, I am just installing Python, nothing special. After installing Python, I will simply start a web server through which you can access your files, right? But what I am going to do is I will flood my server with multiple requests, right? So we can consume more CPU and we can consume more network bandwidth and we can consume more and more memory, RAM, right? So install on this device. Come on. All good. Now again go with simple command python -m http.server. The server is running at port 8000. Let's just change the port number. I'm going to use port number 80. Right, my server is running at my local IP and the port number is 80. If you want to access it, you can access. To access the service, what you have to do is just open the Firefox and enter your IP address. Not HTTPS actually, go with HTTP. I have closed the CMD. Just keep the CMD open and let's take them side by side. All good. If you try to open your website, we can access the files, right? Whenever you open the website, a simple request will be sent to the server and server will send us the response. That's how your web server works, normal case. Now, what I'm going to do is, I will use a script, normal script which is available on GitHub. Just go for Dozer and search on the GitHub. You will get the link from Qwiten. Just download this Python script. That's all what you need. So let's download the zip file. Let's open it with Archive Manager and let's extract this file. So I'm going to extract this one on desktop and extract. We got the file. Now let's check out. File is available, Dozer master, and this is my Python script. What you have to do is just go with terminal and let's execute that script. This is the script. Go with Python and dozer.py. You can use multiple arguments here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a GET request. There are two main type of requests for web server. First one is GET. Whenever you fetch a file from server, you generally use GET request. Whenever you send data to the server, you generally use your POST request there, right? So just go with the same command. Go with -g for the GET request and go for the target here. Just with the service name http:// right, and hit enter. Just wait for 2 minutes. Done, guys. We are using a wrong target here actually. That's the only point. But again, we are sending some requests. And here if you see the server here, you can see we are getting some requests. Now I think you can see the CPU consumption is 80%, right? RAM consumption is not higher, but again CPU consumption is 80-85. Again, network bandwidth is not much consumed, but again this is a simple DOS that you can perform with help of your Dozer script. Other than that part, there are many tools available for your Windows machines as well. One of them is your Loic, L-O-I-C, that you can try. So just go with the browser and search here for LOIC. That stands for your low orbit ion cannon. So just configure your browser first and then go with Loic. You will get a link from SourceForge, right? Just go with that link and download your file for you. Just download this file. Detected by Defender. Let's just disable it for once. Alright, now open the files, and this is your software that you can execute. Just open this one, more information, and run anyway. This is the basic interface for your low orbit ion cannon, or you can say LOIC, right? Here all you have to do is just configure your target, that's all. If you want, you can go with the domain name here, or if you want, you can go with the IP address here. So the IP address is 192.168. I forgot what's the IP address actually. 71.129. 71.129. Just lock your target .129. Yeah, lock your target. Go with the methods. There are only 3 methods allowed. You can go with HTTP, TCP, and then you can use this roller to increase or decrease the intensity for your DOS attack. Right? After that part, just start your attack. One more thing, if you want, stop flooding and don't wait for reply, and start sending your request. And now this may increase the intensity for your DOS attack, because in this time we are using 2 machines instead of 1, right? And CPU consumption is above 90, right? So DDoS attacks are always more intensive as compared to your DOS attack. There are multiple tools available on GitHub that if you want, you can try them. Dozer is one of them, LOIC is one of them, HOIC, High Orbit Ion Cannon, is one of them, Hulk was there. You can simply go with ping command, you can go with Nmap, you can go with MSF. Multiple tools are available that you can try for your DOS attack, right? All good. Now, other than that part, any other attack that you want to try? We have half an hour. Any other attack that you want to try? Alright. We'll continue tomorrow. Tomorrow we have lab. We'll meet at 8601 in the morning. No one is going anywhere. Relax. No, you can't leave. Everyone, again listen. All who are using VMware, please configure a Windows machine as well in your VMware. Right? Install Windows machine in your VMware. So we can try out some malware. So let's try it right now. Let me show you a simple malware. Not by the Kali actually. I'm gonna use Windows. All good. In the meantime, again, guys, I'm using two machines. First one is attacker and second one is victim. Right? Now, on the attacker's machine, what I'm going to do is, let's download a simple rat. I think we have discussed different types of malware. Yes or no? Now, what is a rat? What is a rat? R-A-T. What is rat? Go through your notes quickly. Tell me what is a rat. Guys, what is a rat? What is a rat? Again, I'm not listening. What is a rat? What is a rat? What is a rat? I know you all are tired, but again, still, I'm also tired, right? So don't force me to speak louder. It's a really humble request, right? Now tell me what is a rat? What, radio access? No, 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 no. Actually, listen, listen. Who said radio? Uh, Again, listen now. I am going to use specific rats here. All the rats you can find out on GitHub. What you have to do is just search for Mega Rat Pack on GitHub, right? Here around something like 60, 65 rats are available that you can download and try them. But don't try them on your main machine, right? Try them in your virtual machines only. So I am downloading this 888 rat here. I have downloaded actually, and after downloading just extract the rat. That's all what you have to do, right? I got the rat in my desktop and this is the file that I'm gonna execute. So let's execute this one. We know it's a malware, it's a malicious file, but again still I'm gonna run this. I am doing all this on my attacker machine. Just go with OK. Again OK. And this is the basic interface for your 888 rat. And let's go with magnifier as well. All good. Now again, guys, first you have to create a malware or a rat, right? For that part, what you can do is just go with the builder here, right? And all you have to do is just click on this create server button. If you want to bind this one with any media file, if you want to bind with text file, MP3, MP4, PDF, any sort of file, if you want to bind it, you can go with this binder here, add your file. Let's say I will bind this one with the image which I have downloaded or which I am using as my wallpaper, right? I am going to bind my malware with image file, and then let's go with create a server. If you want, you can create your malware easily, and you can also directly add them into your startup. This is the malware. Done. Now, all I'm going to do is I just have to send this file to my victim. And to send the file, you can use your Python server, you can use pen drives, website, whatever you like. You can send with emails as well. It's completely your call, right? But again, now remind the example of letter postmaster. We always need a connection handler, yes or no? So let's start the connection handler here, right? And then let's send the file to the victim. For that part, I'll go with PowerShell. You can go with CMD as well, both are same kind of thing, right? Go with same command, Python -m http dot server on port number 80. Your server is running. Now just minimize the server and let's go on the victim machine. Here is my victim. Let's go with the browser and enter the IP address 192.168.71.129. We got some files, and this is the malware. Let's download this file. Just keep this file. We got the file. All you have to do is just execute this one for once, and that's all. This will work as a normal image. We got the image file, but if you check the attacker's machine here, we got the connection, which you can see here in the connection request, that we got our victim, and you can do any operation that you want to perform. You can go with his screen, you can transfer files, you can go with the webcam, you can go with the CMD, you can do whatever you want. We have multiple options. If you want to chat, you can chat with the victim, right? Again, we got the chat box on the attacker screen. If you check the victim screen, he got the chat box. And one interesting thing, we don't have closing options in the victim screen. It means victim can't even close this process, right? So let's start chatting. Hey buddy, and let's send a message, right? We got the message, and let's say you are done. Done. So the point is, again, you can use this sort of malware to target your victim, and RAT is one of the, you can say, advanced malwares that you can use. It gives you CLI access, it gives you GUI access, you can record camera, you can record their keystrokes, you can monitor their screen, you can do whatever you want, right? And AAA RAT is one of them which you can use. And all the options are available here on your right click, right, that you can try. So for today's session, not for today, for tomorrow's session, all you need is a virtual machine, a Windows virtual machine, right? Install the machine in your VMware, and we'll continue tomorrow with more malwares if you want, right? One thing. So AAA RAT is one of them which you can try, and the complete list is available on GitHub, which if you want you can check. Just go with the browser, and it's a complete, not a complete list actually, a sort of list that you can use, right? Now let me show you one more simple malware which is generally known as fork bomb. And to show that, let's just close everything. All you need is the notepad, and just note down or write down these 5 characters: %0, 5, %0. How many of you know about this one? Uh, my symbols are changed. Let me just correct them. Oh, let me do one thing. Done. How many of you know about this one? Only one, two, three, four, five, six. What about others? This is generally known as fork bomb. I have shown you before, right? Let's try it again. Just go with ABCD dot bat. Why I'm going with the bat? Because this is a script, bat script. So just going with the download, so let's go with desktop and let's save this file, right? And before executing, let's go with the task manager and let's see. CPU consumption is something around 29, 17%, 15%, somewhere between, right? When you execute this one, it will go to 100 and then you have to restart your device. That's all what you can do, right? So let's say if you want to crash any device, you can simply execute this script, right? Simple case. And crashed. To avoid this, just restart your device.